You're tuned into No Good Music.
And here are your hosts, Rob and Sam.
Hey everybody, this is Rob.
Hi, this is Sam.
And it's very early here. Not really. In New Jersey. But we are doing this episode on album anniversaries. And we each picked one album. We did this earlier in the year. And it's an album that not only has an anniversary, but also an album that we, of course, love or could listen to maybe over and over. Sam, I think, is going to go first.
I'm going to go first. You want me to, are we jumping into it? You got any sound bites or anything fun for us to listen to?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Add those in later.
Maybe we have, let's see.
Get the fuck out.
Well, you know.
There we go.
Say that, do that one again.
Get the fuck out.
Let's do it later.
That's good.
I usually don't use the sound bites anymore.
That's awesome.
I think it annoys people.
No, it's great. It makes me feel like I'm on Howard Stern or something.
Yeah.
Well, I chose, which anybody who knows me, it's probably not a big stretch. I chose Being There by Wilco as the album anniversary. Was it 30 years?
Yeah, 30 years.
Oh, God, that makes me feel old.
1996.
Yeah, October 29th, 96, Wilco's second record. You know, for me, this is the record that I discovered Wilco with. I was in college, 96, I was a sophomore, junior. And I remember it being, you know, I've been playing in bands my whole life, and I remember hearing this record and thinking to myself, this is the record that, like, I had in my head that I wanted to make. Like that. It was just, it's still, that thought resonates with me. Remember where I was when I heard it. I didn't know what a Wilco was or anything. And to me, this is like Wilco's Exile on Main Street in a way. It was their second record. I didn't know the first record, AM. And those probably who know Wilco and those who don't, AM was their first record. Jeff Tweedy was in Uncle Tupelo with Jay Farrar. They had made their last record, Anodyne. They split into Sunvolt, which is Jay Farrar's band, and Wilco, which is Jeff Tweedy's band. Well, Sunvolt's first record, I think had a top 10 hit or something like that. And like, I just remember like that, the general consensus at the time was Sunvolt's record was, you know, they were going to be the band that was going to make it, and not Wilco. And then this record came out, and you know what I've read is that Tweedy negotiated with his label to put it out onto 2 discs, which cost him, I think, read in some article, up to recently in royalties cost him, over $500,000 plus.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he has any money problems at this point. But
yeah, because I read a double album was around. I was surprised the double album was around. I think I read that it was around $25.
Yeah, 25 or 30 back then, right? Which is
and a single was 18, and we're talking 90s. You know, when I started collecting albums, they were $7 or something. Yeah, so he convinced them, Reprise, to I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, keep going and jump in.
To bring that price down to a single album price. But it still cost them the same amount to manufacture it. I think when they say he lost, I think he lost if he had priced it higher. I don't think he actually had to put out, I think they said $600,000.
No, but he reduced his royalty rate to cover the cost. Yeah. Right. So I think it cost him, but he forewent. this is so like AM, their first record is a little more straightforward Americana. Some of the critical reception of it is like it's a little overcompressed. I like it, but I'm a fan, right? You know, I'm most fans. Oh, it's Jeff Tweedy snoring. Oh, that's a great record.
That's what I always say about Taylor Swift. I actually said that. I commented she could put out an album of her sleeping and people would buy it.
People would buy it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, this record is they kind of start to stray away from the whole, like, Americana thing where there's some psych in it. Well, and what I didn't know until I started researching the record is that the title is based off a Peter Sellers movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Being There.
Which I've never, I want to see the movie now.
Yeah, I haven't seen
movie
that movie in a
called
long
Being
time,
There.
but I remember when it was on HBO back in the day. I watched it a couple times, and I think it's about a guy who, I don't know specifically, but I know he learns a lot from watching television as far as what he says or how he speaks, or like he's was molded by television. He's kind of an idiot savant or something. That's what I'm thinking. I have to go back and watch it. I know it's a good movie.
Yeah, so it's a 1979 film. It's a satirical comedy drama starring Peter Sellers, Shirley MacLaine, and Melvin Douglas. Directed by Hal Ashby. So, like, and it's also based off of a novel called Being There. So it's really based off of a book. But and as there's a Tweety lyric that I think on a song on Summer Teeth. I steal my lines from the books that you don't read anyway. So. Anyway, back to Being There. It's the first record with Jay Bennett. And from what you read, Tweety really liked Bennett because he was a multi-instrumentalist. He was a producer. He could play keyboards. And I got to meet Jay Bennett multiple times. He was a fascinating guy. Prolific. You know, he fixed radios and like he could fix stuff. He could play anything. Really, it opened up, I think, Wilco's sound. And Jeff's songwriting. This record has like Out of Sight, Out of Mind, kind of like a Stonesy kind of rocker that's still in their set list. I saw them 3 weeks ago, I think now. That's still in their set list, you know, Kingpin. So it's just got, I always felt like one record was a little more rockin', another one was a little more like acoustic-y out there, but I don't know, it's just such a great record. It's like thick and gauzy sounding, and like
that first song, the first song that kicks off, is that Misunderstood? Yeah.
And so
I was surprised by that one.
So right for me, I feel like so much music is like it comes. You know, there's probably a lot of people that'll listen to this record and be like, whatever. But for me, at my age, at my time, being a guitar player and a musician, the way this hit for me, it was like, oh, wow, you know, this is like a desert island disc for me because it's one of those I can remember where I was when I heard it. And it, I think this is when my brother probably hated me because I played over and over whenever I was around him. And, I've always liked rock with a little psychedelia. Is that a word? Psychedelic surrealness to it. Yeah. So this is what I feel like this record was. Then they were able to make Summer Teeth, which is probably my favorite Wilco record, which is even goes a little bit farther out there, a little more synthy, more, you know, just like it's him growing as a songwriter. So I don't know. I just love this record.
Yeah,
that and Summer Teeth. I like all the Wilco records, but
they have 13 albums out.
Yeah, and then after this they did Mermaid Avenue, which was with Billy Bragg, which was all of the Woody Guthrie songs unrecorded. So
now this album also, I thought it's weird. You know, Wikipedia is weird because people put stuff in here. You know,
yeah,
like I would assume that the band or someone would be checking it. But
probably
it's
not.
weird they have it in there. Jeff Tweedy had recently quit smoking marijuana. Says attendance at Wilco concerts was dwindling, which is not good for, you know, you're about to do your second album, about to do your, you know, 20th album, right? And concert, you know, audiences are dwindling. He was trying to manage his marriage. I don't know what that means. You know, they were having problems. a mortgage, and the birth of his first child. So maybe that's why. Is this album? See, I'm not familiar with this album, but I'm going to listen to it all the way through.
It's great. It's a great
Is
record.
it kind of edgier than the first one? Or?
Yo, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just I think they take more chances. I mean, I think it's on Misunderstood. They all play different instruments. You know, that was the one thing I read is that. So after this record, they bought their own space where they recorded all their records. They call it the Loft. Mm-hmm. I've been there before. It's like the second story. It's like an industrial building. They have the whole second story in Chicago of this building, and it's like wide open. It doesn't look like a recording studio. It's just packed full of their shit. Mm-hmm. So
it's the recording space.
You know. Yeah, and like they hang out there and they stage their tours, and like it's some other shit. That's where.
Oh, that's cool.
That's where they do all their things. And Tweety has a massive guitar collection.
I just saw him. I forget who he was performing with. It was recently. He was on stage with someone. But
so this last weekend they just had their festival they do every other year at Mass Mocha in Massachusetts. So they had like Gang of Four there. They actually played the Billy Bragg and Wilco songs.
Oh, maybe that was
the first
Gang
time.
of Four. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, they had was it Bob James that did the theme for Taxi? Is that his name?
I don't know.
He played there, like, so they have this. When they did a contest, they broke the world record for the amount of people doing a yo-yo at the same time.
Really?
So it's like their big
That's
festival.
Cool.
I've never been to it. But anyway, back to this record. I mean, it's just like the track list is so good. Obviously, I'm acting like a fanboy here, but
no, it's okay.
You know, it was very. If you look, it was it got 4.5 stars from All Music. Entertainment Weekly gave it an A. This is what kind of broke them out and laid the groundwork for who Wilco is now, which is. As a fan, like the records are never the same, and that's what's cool. And he's just so prolific too. He has his he has Tweety, which is his family band, and
he just recently put out 3 albums at once.
Yeah, triple record.
Yeah, give Wilco a listen. I mean, I always it's one of these bands that I think I told you every time they come out with a new album, I'll listen to it, but it's not like I got to listen to the new Wilco. I don't know why. I'm just drawn to. I guess I like them.
Yeah. It gets off and, I think some of the critics are like, it's dad rock, but I don't know. It's just good music.
And that's why we do the podcast, because you have different tastes than I do. And we talk about, and I know we talked about Wilco before, but our listeners will give this album a listen. I mean, like I said, I only listened to the first couple of songs, but I'll definitely go through it. And, a band, not to go off track, but I will.
Let's go off track because that's part of the fun of this.
A band I wasn't too familiar with is the Toadies, but recent podcast, I was going down the list of new albums coming out, and I decided I'll talk about the Toadies. And then I listened to the new album, and I freaking love it. They were grunge. They were kind of grunge, but they were kind of poor man's grunge. They were like poor man's Stone Temple Pilots or something. But the new album, I'm like, I don't know anything in between the first album and the new one. But I'm thinking they really didn't change their style at all. And what I'm trying to say is I never really was into the Toadies. I knew that one song, Possum Kingdom. And now I'm listening to more, and I've got tickets to see the Toadies. They're going to be in Allentown.
Yeah.
And Jeremy and my friend Willie they're going with me. And this band Local H is opening.
I've heard
also
of them.
had a minor hit back in
I've
the
heard
90s.
of them.
So it should be a cool concert. Even if it's an older band, just explore. And like we're suggesting to listen to this album being there. Do it. Maybe you'll become a
go. Well, for me, like I went and saw Spoon last weekend, and that was a band I didn't know very well. Look, I'm wearing the shirt.
Oh, there you go. Did you get that at the concert?
Yeah, only $40.
Yeah.
I took my daughter, and a friend of mine who's a fan and my girlfriend, like they'd never seen, and they're fans now.
Yeah.
I actually took my when Wilco was here, they're doing an evening with, where it's just them. They do two big sets, and we went to Grand Rapids. So I met Nels Klein about 20 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. So I took my daughter. He's their guitar player. He's their most recent guitar player for the last 20 years.
Okay.
And I took my daughter and my girlfriend. So, they got the whole backstage treatment. And,
nice.
I thought it was pretty cool. And now, that was their first Wilco show. And they had a great time. Everybody was dancing and hooting and hollering. So Meyer Gardens, folks, if anybody ever gets the chance to go in Grand Rapids, it is a beautiful amphitheater, but also the gardens there were incredible. So we got there early. We were able to go tour the gardens, and it was really neat. So look that up, folks. Look it up. Look it up.
Do you know about this book? You probably do. I probably mentioned it. Oops.
I have something similar.
It's weird because this is one of the things where they come out gathering every 5 years with a new one. There's a new one coming out in October. So, they remove some that are in here. But Wilco is
Kraftwerk's on the cover.
Being There is in here.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What do they say? Any tantalizing excerpts from what they say in there? And while you're looking at that, one thing I read about this record was like that song Misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the way I listen to music, I'm not always inferring I'm more of a feel person versus analyzing all the lyrics. But one thing you read about it is that song Misunderstood is a song about a tortured musical artist from the point of view of a fan.
Yeah.
And I guess Tweety used some autobiographical things that like Jay Farr used to use against him, like you're just a mama's boy. And
is that another band? A guy from
so that was the other band he was in, Uncle Tupelo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there's a
whole
just
that the
lore around that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
It talks about the first album, AM, which was a solid country rocker.
Yeah.
And then, in contrast, Wilco's second release can be seen as the first mighty musical jump in a career increasingly distinguished by great artistic leaps and bounds. Having traveled the roads for 5 albums, Tweety seemed more concerned with where music was going than where it had been. Now, it has, of course, every album in here, it's good things to say about because they want you to listen to it. But the look of the album is deceptively simple. A hand holding a guitar on the front and fingers playing a piano on the back do not begin to illustrate the wide range of sounds over 19 songs and 2 discs.
And it says it recorded over 30-some songs for this record.
Yeah. And then it does mention Being There, the movie, and it says, would garner vast critical acclaim but generate only lukewarm sales, peaking at 73 on the Billboard chart, and taking 7 years to go gold. But it did go gold.
I'd still take it.
Yeah. So my album, I don't know if you're done.
Yeah, I can be done. When we talk about this stuff, though, I realize that I would make the worst rock critic because, like, my reviews would be like, I liked it. I liked the sound of the guitars. I like the songs. Yeah, they're catchy. Like, I'm probably the worst person for this podcast.
That's okay.
Because I don't know how to describe music. To me, it's just a feeling, so.
Well, that's when I don't know, I've had some people over the years say, how can you talk about music? But, what I like is like the odd facts, like that album was named after a movie. And yeah, we're still talking about music, but not the actual music. Or we talk about the band itself. And
yeah. Well, so it's fun. Yesterday, I had a friend. It's actually a guy I play in a band with, and he posted on Facebook, "Hey, how do you find out about new music?" And it was interesting to read the responses. And I'm not much of a Facebooker, but I was like, "Oh, I'll respond to this one." And I was like, "I read about it," And there were actually
Yeah.
still a fair amount of people that read about it. A lot of people, it's like, oh, friend recommendations or opening acts to other for other shows they go to. So definitely it was a lot of music fans responding to this. But so I get Uncut. I think I've maybe talked about this before. And I'll go through Uncut, which is a British magazine, and they have a ton of reviews. If it's an 8 out of 10 or better, I'll go listen to it.
Yeah.
And like that's how I found Ryan Davis and the Roadhouse Band. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I'll give it I'll flip through a couple songs and save it to my queue. If I really like it, I'll typically order a record. So anyway,
Yeah,
I keep interrupting you.
Yeah, I would think I always talk about Apple Music, and no, they're not a sponsor, but I think it's the best.
That's what I use.
It's like, I don't know, $17 a month for 3 of us. I don't know what it is for one person. Maybe it's $10, maybe it's $12. And yeah, you don't own the music. I mentioned it to a friend of mine. He's like, I like to own the music, but doing a podcast, I listen to tons of different bands. I forget how many different bands I listen to. It comes up on the end of the year thing. How many different bands I'd listen to in a year. Yeah. And I could never afford to buy all that. And I don't want more stuff either. So right. I think subscribing to streaming, whether you like streaming or not, but you know what it is? If you even stream something, you're like, there's albums. I'm like, I have to have it on vinyl. So I am buying physical. Like I just bought another Jack White album. And it's something, I can never remember the title. It's one of I say newer ones, but it's from like 4 years ago. There was Fear of the Dawn, and then there was Going into Heaven Alive or something like that.
Okay.
And it's actually toned down Jack White. Like
really?
Yeah, and I love that album. And also, I know we're getting off track, but if people, so the one magazine, I'm trying to find it now, that I subscribe to, and it's digital, is Guitar World. And what? Yeah. I subscribed to it for a while, and I finally got around to to reading an issue. But you can go on your tablet and like flip through the pages and read it. That's how I do it.
So, I was talking about that post my friend did. Check this out. So he had another guy we know responded with, let me find this. I thought this was really, really cool. There's anydecentmusic.com. Oh, okay. The site is an aggregator of music review from tons of big sites, and then they combine it into lists.
Oh, nice. So they have album reviews?
Yeah, but they combine it from a bunch of other sites. If a record constantly gets a 9 out of 10 or something like that, so you're having more like, what do they call that, metadata or whatever? It says it breaks the list down into different genres. The main list, front and center, has descriptive blurbs, make it easy to glance.
They're
like,
probably using,
that's cool.
They're probably using AI.
A site that's using all the sites.
Well, that's what AI does when you ask it a question. You can see it spinning, going through different Facebook, like if you're asked, I don't know. And then it like puts everything together. Like have you ever looked up your name?
What do you mean? Where?
Look up Sam Vale and see what it comes up with. I'm serious. If your name is anywhere,
like in Google,
yeah, and they
call it Google baiting.
And the AI will bring up your biography.
Oh.
If your name is like even associated with a band or anything on social media, like mine says, I'm an independent film actor. And it also lists no good music, and also probably now my album that I did.
Here, all I'm typing in my name says Sam Vale is a total asshole. No, just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to go on to my album.
We digress.
So this is a band I literally have loved since I purchased this album, and it was in 1987, and it's the Smithereens, Especially for You. Now they had, I think they had a couple They might have had an EP before this, but this was their first complete album. Now, I remember having this cassette. It's weird because I was in a band in 87, 88. I remember specifically 3 cassettes that I had probably at a certain period of time that I would, rotate. So it was Gene Loves Jezebel, Discover, and the Tom Tom Club. I think it was their first album, and also the Smithereens. So it's a weird combination. I mean, the Smithereens kind of don't fit. They're like power. I know they probably hate being called power pop, but they were.
I know, I hate terms.
Yeah. So this was released in 86 on Enigma Records, and it's celebrating 40 years. There's no exact date. I mean, maybe I'm friends with, Jim Babjak. Maybe I didn't ask him what the date was. Maybe he doesn't know. It just says July. They are, if you never heard of Smithereens, you probably haven't listened to the podcast, but they are New Jersey.
Oh, I know. I know them very well because my brother was way into them.
But they're from New Jersey. Forget Bon Jovi.
Every kid thinks he's a singer because he's in the shower doing it.
We have the Smithereens and Springsteen. Now, the album's notable for the hit Blood and Roses, and it was featured in multiple movies and TV productions. The album was produced by Don Dixon. He co-produced work on REM's Murmur and A Reckoning albums. 2 of the songs actually were on the charts, which was Blood and Roses was number 14, Billboard Album Rock Tracks chart, and Behind the Wall of Sleep, number 23.
Oh, I remember that song. That's a great song.
Now the album reached 51 on the Billboard 200. Now I can't help but say, and I've said it before, Matt has told me, this was years ago, that he thought the Smithereens were a regional band. I don't know why he thought that. They were on Jay Leno. They were on SNL. So they were one of those bands that were they were building up momentum. And they didn't become, the Stones. Nobody can.
No.
And the album was certified platinum.
It was.
Copies.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, but and also on Wikipedia, when they tell you that, it could be over the last 40 years. We don't know.
But still.
So before we go into the background on the album, I have some audio from Jim Babjak. He was the lead guitarist, or is, for the Smithereens. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the recording of the album. And thank you, Jim, for doing this. And here we go.
Thanks. Thank you, Jim.
An interesting thing about the Especially For You album is that in 1985, we were going to record another independent record like we did with Beauty and Sadness. So we started a recording at the record plant. We recorded about 6 songs. Blood and Roses was one of them. Behind the Wall of Sleep was another. And Alone at Midnight. And we sent this tape to every record company imaginable, major and minor, independent. Not a budge from any of them, except from Enigma. I mean, the rest of those, they all rejected it. So Enigma signs us, and then we record the other songs with Don Dixon as producer. And I didn't personally expect the album to be a big hit at all because of what was on the radio at the time. There was, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Duran Duran, all the MTV stuff. And I didn't think we fit in at all. But miraculously, it got picked up by MTV and WNAW in New York, and then it just snowballed. And the great thing about that album is it had no record company involvement whatsoever. We recorded the album that we wanted. Years later, they would tell us, "Oh, you can't really put a bossa nova on there. You gotta keep everything radio friendly and blah blah blah." So I'm really proud of that record, and from now on, we're just recording the albums that we want to make.
And there you go. Thank you, Jim. And it is true. You can kind of get a feel for that. You know, your first album, maybe they give you a little bit of leeway. You know, these songs were, I have a quote here from Pat, the late Pat DiNizio. This was like a greatest hits album from a band nobody's heard of because we had those songs for 5 years. You know, they were performing them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you go in to do your second album, I think that's what Jim's getting at. They were on Capitol. They want to hone you. They want the hits. They want,
right.
You know, they want to make money. And
About making money.
And that was, you know, Green Thoughts was the second album, which I found, I was at the record store and they have the bottom bin. The top bins are all the $30 albums, the remastered. But, you know, I like to buy used albums as long as, you know, they don't have scratches in them. And of course, they're a lot less, you know, they're a lot cheaper. And I happened to look down and there's Green Thoughts, the one Smithereens album I don't have on vinyl. It was like $18 because it's hard to find. I don't know how many they pressed, but so let's go into each track a little bit. So we got Strangers When We Meet. Now, I'm going to say I love almost every song on this album. There's a couple that I don't, you know, like as much. And this song kind of, I don't know why, but I was thinking of Elvis' Suspicious Minds, even though it doesn't sound like it. But do you know this song? With the lyrics, you know, there's a guy obviously having an affair, which I think he's done with the affair because he knows if he sees this girl in public to make like they don't even know each other. And Elvis, on the other hand, I think is convincing with Suspicious that his significant other, that he's not having an affair, but he brings up the question, if you see me talking to another girl, will you be suspicious? So I think Pat already had it planned out. We see each other, no eye contact. Anyway, the song I'm not real crazy about is Listen to Me, Girl. It's a slower song. Groovy Tuesday is an interesting song. And I always like the song that kind of speeds up and slows down. This one has like a barrage of guitars for the bridge. And then it slows down and then picks up again. And then the last where they're saying nothing lasts, sung over, you know, Tuesday's Groovy. I think that's pretty cool. That goes on for a little while, you know, to end the song. You know, it's got an interesting sound to it, that song.
I said it was inspired by listening to the Who Sell Out. That's
okay.
Like one of my favorite records.
I don't want to lose you. Pat says some of the first songs I wrote, while charming, are not great compositions. If someone's learning how to write songs, yeah, some of the songs, in fact, my first composition, which is this song, wound up on Especially for You. And he said a lot of folks like that song.
Well, there you go.
Now, Cigarette. Now, Pat, years ago, came out with an audiobook. I don't know if I have, well, we're not video, so I can't show it anyway.
You could show me.
Where is it? Oh, I lost it. Oh, it's in here. Okay. Oh, my God. Now, the book never, and it's called Confessions of a Rock Star. And it never came out in print. It was only an audiobook. And Pat is doing the audio. There were only 200 made, and it's this.
No way.
Yeah.
Folks, what he's showing is just a little lanyard with a zip drive on it.
Yeah, it's a.
And how did you acquire it?
He had a website at the time, and I was in contact with Pat, and I think you would email him. Or this was before Venmo. I don't know how I paid for it, but it says 146 of 200. It says to the Lilly family, and it's signed.
Oh, that's so cool. So, is it a fun listen?
Yeah, I'm gonna play. I kind of edited this chapter because in the middle he goes off on something else. He's talking about the song "Cigarette."
Okay.
So I kind of edited the middle because he's talking about. Actually, the middle was kind of interesting because he met up with REM. And he said he drank their beer, and I don't know. So I kind of edited that out. And he wrote this song in Sweden. I think he said on a train. Here we go. Here's Pat, the late Pat DiNizio.
Cigarette. I was always intrigued by the romance of the cigarette as presented on screen in classic motion pictures. Scenes from films where a couple who were very much in love would be sitting at a dinner table or having a drink, and the man would take 2 cigarettes and light them both in his mouth at the same time, and then hand one to his beloved. There was something very romantic about that. It's a romantic image portrayed in films of a couple that had just made love having a cigarette in bed after being together. And I was also intrigued at the time with the idea of writing a song with a title that was completely and wholly politically incorrect. When Cigarette was written around 1984 or so, that was when the first moves were being made against big tobacco. It was becoming very politically incorrect to smoke cigarettes. So I figured, what better way to create some controversy than by writing a song having the title Cigarette? It just had never been done before. It was composed on a train trip from Stockholm, Sweden, to a town called Hook Van Holland. Cigarette was written very much under the influence of the Smithereens' favorite band at the time, the Stranglers. It was written in a waltz tempo, which is something that most rock bands from that era, or in general, very rarely have done. That specific sort of tempo was and is not popular among most rock bands. Rock bands tend to use a 4/4 time signature. The song was written largely while looking out the window of a train passing through Holland, gazing out at idyllic, beautiful scenery, the windmills and tulips of Holland. I was also at the time slightly nostalgic for my life back in the city, back in New York. The experience of being in Sweden and living there in an apartment for a month, leaving the USA for the first time, turned up in the lyrics of Cigarette. It points back to what we've already covered. You must have a life to write about. Were it not for that overseas experience, and were it not for me being enamored of certain film imagery, of being aware of it, I couldn't have combined those elements and written that song. Cigarette was very much a favorite of ours, and is still a favorite of our fans and supporters of the Smithereens. It's been a featured part of our set for the past 16 years or so. People still ask for it. Cigarette was written cinematically. It's an image song. It could almost be an excerpt from a feature film, lyrically. And again, sometimes you need to write about unpopular subjects. Don't be afraid to tackle a subject that is politically incorrect. In terms of cigarettes, I believe it's up to you to make your own decisions on whether you're going to smoke or not. It's up to you as an individual as to whether you want to kill yourself or not by smoking cigarettes. It's up to you to make the decision as to whether you're going to wear a helmet while you're riding a motorcycle or not. It's not up to Big Brother or big government to tell you how to run your life. So perhaps Cigarette is a reflection of that political stance, and the specific writing of the song was set out to write a song with an unpopular title, a curious title. I recall that when I wrote Cigarette, I was trying to do different things. I didn't want to keep replicating, as I did in my early songs, the style of the Beatles or the Beau Brummels or the Byrds, or whatever we were listening to rather heavily at the time. Give a listen to the very first live performance of my song, Cigarette.
And there we go.
Very cool.
And I'm not going to show it, but I have this limited, I think I sent you a picture. It's a 21 CD box set of the Smithereens. And it's cool because there's demos on there that like most people haven't heard. You know, Cigarette's on there. I think Strangers When We Meet, I think it's just instrumental. You know, they're working out the songs.
So did you get that 21 CD box set?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. And they made very few of those, right?
Yeah, the Smithereens were playing in Sellersville. I don't know what year it was. Pat had those for sale, and he only made 100. And my friend Scott said, he's like, you better get one, because I guess Pat only had like 10 left. He was originally selling for $100, and I think they were 50. And I remember going down the street to the ATM to get cash.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen them. I think I saw one on eBay years ago for like $500, $600. I don't know. Can't imagine what they're worth.
Wild.
Each CD has 20 some songs on it. You know, so there's like 400 and some.
Did he like
lives.
burn them in his like how, like, did he like make them at home or? Or were they like, was it like professionally produced?
No, they're printed on there.
Oh,
Like,
okay, cool. Wow.
and then each one has an insert telling you what the songs are and when, like if it's live, it tells you the date.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And I know most people, you know, and I can't play that stuff. So, but I think that's what Pat's alluding to, maybe, to listen to the acoustic. I don't know where the acoustic version of Cigarette would be.
Here it is, the Mega CD box set. There's none for sale in Discogs. Median price $67.
What?
Last sold 2024.
That can't be right. $67.
High price 85, but it hasn't sold in a couple of years because there's just,
I don't know. Maybe people don't know how rare it is.
it may not be.
Because Pat's no longer here, and they're not. You're never going to get
No,
that.
I mean, here, they have all the discography. Wow.
It's kind of cool though hearing Pat say. I mean, in his mind, it was controversial writing a song about cigarettes, and he's probably right. You know, with them, it was looked down upon. It still is. You know, smoking cigarettes. And we had a little message from Pat at the end about smoking. Now, our next track is I Don't Want to Lose You. And this song picks up a little. And I always think those Smithereens have like I say a swing, a sway. I don't know how to describe it with some of their songs. It's like a nice flow to the songs. Like even the lyrics, I think the lyrics are kind of layered in that, you know, the way Pat wrote. They were definitely a unique band. They still perform, you know, they have different singers now. Now, time and time again, and if you haven't heard this song, it's simply one of my favorite Smithereen songs, next to one that's on side 2. And I like the start and stop in this song. If you heard this song, you know what I'm talking about. There's this drum, rattling a drum, like, and then the song stops and then picks up. You know, it's just a nice, there's a lot of energy. I was trying to ask Jimmy again on this one if it was recorded live. You might hear mowing in the background. I was trying to get an answer from Jim to see if this was recorded live in the studio. Because when you listen to it, it sounds like they could all be playing at once. But they, you know, the Smithereens have their own kind of unique sound. Even when they did some Beatles. They redid the Who's Tommy, but it still had that Smithereens feel to it. You know, the band is fans of the Beatles, the Who, the Beach Boys, the British Invasion sound. So you kind of
all the good stuff.
Yeah,
the Kinks.
Then we have Behind the Wall of Sleep again. I mean, I love this song, and
I mean that's kind of like, to me, that's one of their like defining songs, right?
Yeah, I love the lyrics on this. It's about a man obsessed with a girl that's in a rock band. She's a bass player. I think Pat admitted to who it was. I forget who it was now. And, you know, he says she stands like Bill Wyman. So to kind of flip it like that.
I love it. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great guitar solo in this. It's about 1 minute and 32 seconds in. And this has the same energy as Time and Time Again. And now we slow down again, In a Lonely Place. You know, there's rockers on this, and then there's like kind of, I wouldn't even call them ballads. I don't know what they are, you know. They're just, this is with Suzanne Vega. I forget what the instrument is now, but I always thought it was a xylophone, but it's not. I forget what the name of the instrument. So yeah, Suzanne Vega's on this one. And she actually is singing pretty high on the chorus with Pat, I noticed. And they've performed this song, I want to say they performed this song like once. Now, Blood and Roses, it's buried. This is the thing. Maybe they didn't really know, you know, you can't know what's going to be your song, your big song, right? When you're recording the album. But this is on side 2, track 3, Blood and Roses. You think it would start off with Blood and Roses. For the younger listeners, you know, vinyl, I mean, people are collecting vinyl again, but, you know, you have 2 sides and you have to flip the album.
Takes work.
You know, I can't say enough about this song. It starts with a bass line, and then the guitars kick in and the drums, and it's a staple of their live shows. Now, Jim used to, I don't think he does anymore, jump off the stage, and then, you know, I think that's why he has back problems. And he'd go into the audience and perform the solo, which the solo introed with the bass. again. This like all like the you don't hear the drums, you hear the bass, and then it goes into this guitar solo.
Very cool. I'm so excited to listen to this again. It's been ages.
Yeah. And on the live shows, if you were lucky enough to be right there, where Jim was, to hit that last chord, I think he would pick someone. And unfortunately, I've been to like 40 some shows and I never was like there. And he actually had a pick he would give you. And it said, I strummed Jim Babjak's guitar on the last chord. Doesn't even say Blood and Rose. It says the last chord, right?
That's cool.
And then we have Crazy Mixed Up Kid. I always like this song. It's a good like bouncy, I don't know how to describe it, song. It's just it's a fun song. The last two songs, I don't know why I've never been a big fan of. Hand of Glory, I think it's kind of an anthem. I call it an anthem song. This was actually written by a guy named Jimmy Silva. He was a friend of the band. And he recorded a version of the song on his album Remnants of the Empty Set in 86. And Dennis Dyken, the drummer for the Smithereens, was on drums.
Okay.
And Pat described it as the type of song that had a lot of energy live, always went over great, and we thought we'd give it a shot in the studio, and it wound up on the album. And then Alone at Midnight, the last song. And I kind of have the feeling this was an early Pat song, like I Don't Want to Lose You or Listen to Me, Girl, kind of in that vein. So yeah, that's the album. And I think when the CD came out, I don't know how many bonus tracks they had, maybe one or two, but one of them was White Castle Blues. I think it's a Jim Babjak song. They are there's a White Castle Hall of Fame, and White Castle is very well known in New Jersey for burgers.
Yeah.
These paper thin burgers. You don't want to eat too many. I'm just going to say, they're good going down, right?
And oftentimes they get eaten at very odd hours of the night.
So they're very popular. And to note about the Pat's 60th birthday celebration, I think it was like $100 to go because they had all these musicians there and it was all you can eat. They had a buffet. You got manicotti, chicken parm, right? Because it's an Italian-American club. Well, after everybody ate, a couple hours later, someone comes in with boxes of White Castle. So then you're eating, I'm eating White Castle after.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I think Jim or the Smithereens are in the White Castle Hall of Fame. White Castle actually at one point had, I don't know if it was, because they also have fries. It was either on the fry carton or on the cups. They had something about the Smithereens. So that's this song, White Castle Blues, has become, I don't think they used it in commercials, but I don't even remember seeing commercials for White Castle. But anyway, that's the bonus song on the CD. So
I'm excited to listen to this again because I should have done this prior to our podcast. Yeah. You've got me excited.
And it's, like I said, it's a album I had in 87. Well, I had the cassette and I, never stopped liking the Smithereens. And we tried, on one other thing is Matt and I tried to get into, they were playing at the Stone Pony in 87, but Matt had just turned 21. And for some reason, they didn't put the day on his license. I'm like serious. It just said the month and the year. Like for his birthday, I think.
They wouldn't let him in?
Yeah, they didn't, even though it was that month, it wasn't official that he was 21.
Oh, wow.
And we stood outside the door and listened. Didn't get to meet him. And then in 88, we saw him, I think that's when Green Thoughts came out. We saw him at the Beacon. We were up in the balcony. So, and since then, I got to become friends with the guys. And at first, it was kind of surreal for me. But now it's kind of, I figure I've known him for 20 years now.
That's cool.
Now it's just like, if I go to a show and I see Jim, we just talk like, old friends. So we're probably going to do, Sam and I are probably going to do another one, maybe in a couple months. I think you might have a Stones album. You can change your mind if you want.
I'll do all of them, all
Yeah,
the Stones
all of
albums
them.
at once.
Yeah, and I don't know what my other one would be. But this is kind of cool that we do this. Like I said before, I'm trying to come up with a list, or I came up with a list of my top 50 albums. And these are ones that, yeah, you can just, even though you said you haven't listened to this in a while, I don't know if you own the vinyl or you can just, my vinyl's sitting behind me, but.
I don't know. I have to go look. I have a bunch of Smithereens on vinyl. I'm not sure if I have that one.
But it's one you can go back to, and you're probably going to be like, wow, yeah, this guy, how good this was.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sam. I know
Hey, thank
busy,
you,
yeah.
Rob. No, this is great.
So listeners, you can email us at nogoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to turn off the TV.
And turn up the music.
You've been listening to No Good Music, intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's episode was recorded live and slightly edited for your listening enjoyment at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, our host site Podbean, and mostly anywhere you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow our Facebook and Instagram pages. And as always, thank you for listening. The excerpt from the chapter Cigarette in Pat DiNizio's book Confessions of a Rock Star, used with permission from Jim Babjak.